Very exciting. I didn't know what color to wear. And it's not going to rain. But there is a song from a movie that turned out to be a classic like tonight. A very special classic called Singing in the Rain, which it's not going to do. Not tonight. I'm not singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain. What a wonderful feeling. I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with that rain, have a smile on my face. I'll walk down the lane with a happy refrain. 'Cause I'm singing, just singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain. I'm just singing in the rain. What a wonderful feeling. I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. I'm singing, singing in the
Hey, are we still live? Turn on your mic, Kat. Okay. You're up.
Oh my gosh, I am up. That was really fun to watch. And you know what? My lights are out up here.
You're on.
I know I'm on. I'm just letting you know I'm in the dark on half of it. Hello there. That song and watching her sing it like that, that's the first time I've actually ever seen. It's the two stage lights. It's the first time I have ever seen her do that song. Was that the Hollywood Bowl?
Yes, it was.
And when I was 19, I auditioned for Hee Haw, and that was the first audition I ever went on. And that is the song I sang, and that is the way I ended the song, which is so weird because it's not the traditional ending. Yeah, there you go. So it's not the traditional ending, and I just did it. Nobody taught me. And then to see Debbie do that song like that, it is just mind-blowing. I mean, it's really weird how sometimes life does imitate art. Way before I ever knew Todd, we're talking 40 years ago when I sang that song like that. Anyway, welcome everybody and happy Saturday night. We are really happy to be here with you tonight. As you know, it is show and tell night for Todd Fisher. He started to tell you all about this incredible lens, the Todd A.O. lens. And he's going to be going into the house to do the show and tell. But apparently we also have him right here on the set, which is... Well,
no, I'm not going to the house right this second.
Are you ghosting me? I'm on my own. And
well, I decided that I should, because you have guests, I will turn on the screen.
And I want to talk about my guests because right now, in my little humble theater, we have Jordan the Lion here and Scott, his friend Scott, and
I'll go to the wide camera. You
Scott's
guys can
a collector
wave.
too, so it's like so.
Go ahead and wave, you guys.
Wave back there.
There you go.
No, turn around. Cameras are back there.
There they are.
There you go. Yay! So we're just. I love. Do you know that I love when people come here to visit because I don't really leave the house that much, and it's for no reason. I just a homebody. And so we do everything here anyway, so it's why bother? But when people come in from out of town, I'm always really happy because it gets me out of the house. I've already thought of 2 shows I want to see this week while they're here.
Let me see, Donnie and Marie. Would that be
No, Marie's not here, but I told Jordan he should do a vlog on Donny Osmond because it's such a fantastic show and the story, and a lot of people that are watching right now have seen him at Harrah's here. He's amazing. And there's just so much to do here. You know, and we're going to go see Jerry, of course, because that's just a must-do. You've not seen his show, have you, Jordan? Oh, it's so good. That's right, you did.
Okay,
And
so
he's the best, really the best, I think.
I was just making sure everything is working because
I
we
think
don't
it
have any
is.
help.
I
I'm
didn't
having
brush
to
my
run.
hair or anything before, so I just
I'll
wanted to
start
say
to
if
get,
I
if
if
I
I
get
look
you
a
hooked
little
up with
crazy,
hats,
it's
so you don't have to sweat it.
yeah,
You
you
just
know.
tuck
But
down the
I'm
back
so
and you're good
happy
to
to be
go.
here. The only thing I'm waiting, I'm hoping that Liz will bring me a pair of glasses because I can't read the comments without
Well, I
them.
can't run
and
the
you
equipment.
can't run the equipment. And you know
I'll
what's
do
sweet?
my best.
No,
Here you
no,
go.
no, 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 no. You keep the glasses on. But what's wonderful?
Now, how would Liz know
we have
these
finally
things?
reached the point where we both have the same strength reading glasses.
I see you over there somewhere.
Everything looks better in soft focus, but I can't read without them, so this will be interesting. Anyway, I'm going to grab my phone as if I can
Just
see
take
what you're
this, 'cause
saying.
you're on your close-up
yes, so
anyway.
let me just see who's here and say hello, because that is my fun time. Vicky Giddens, Carlos Luvano. Hi, Fisher family, he says. Hello, Carlos Luvano. It's good to have you here. Beth Hughes says, looks like we had an oopsie. Ooh, I don't know what that means. Did we get kicked off? No. Oh, we're good. Hi, Sherilyn Coviello. It's good to have you here. This is so great.
I think she means the
Let me just see who's here. Or let me turn down my phone. We like to show the folks at home how it's done, as you know, and sometimes you get to see all of it, the front, the back, the good, the bad, the ugly, but it's all interesting and fun. So hello, Kathy Hobbs, Sherry McDonald King, Elizabeth Gandy, Debbie Wisman. That's a new name. Hello, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to our show,
Ryan,
and
is
we hope
everything
that
okay?
you'll enjoy
If
it.
not, if everything's okay.
Hang out, because we have giveaways at the
Ryan,
end of
is
the show,
everything
and
okay?
you are
Hold up a
awesome.
second.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I mean, our stream is okay because someone said you had a whoops. I don't know what that means and how to translate.
Everything looks good to me.
Thank you.
Barb is saying, Barb Badalamenti says, I'm sorry I made you cry with that question about Debbie. You want to know something? That was a good sentimental cry, not a sad cry, so you don't have to apologize for that. It was just a wonderful feeling to feel her so deeply as I did last night when we were talking, so no worries about that. Eddie Wyatt, hi you monkey. Sandy Dinan, hi from Melbourne, Australia. Hello there. We love our Aussies. Deb, I have a makeup company called catcosmetics.com, and our Australian rep is Debbie Rouse, and she is over there and takes care of all of you little koalas, and so if you wanted to check that out, it's really fun. But we have like 3-4 people from Australia, and we really enjoy having them. And Deb calls me the Little Ripper. So since you are from Australia, you know what a Little Ripper is. And that is my pet name from her. Let me see who else is here. How you doing over there without any eyes in?
I'm getting there.
Okay, I'm going to log out for a second.
fine.
But I am
fine.
coming back in because something quite odd happened. Here we go. All right, so we are back. Here we go. Oh, it's nice to have everybody here. Paula Mickle. Hello, beautiful. What's going on? Are you on vacation? Because I saw on your Facebook page you were going to take one. I want to say, Tammy Wilson, I don't know if you're here or not, but I saw that what you built, and I'm proud of you too, because you said, I'm so proud I built my little fountains, and that's so awesome. I can't build things. Todd builds things, right?
I do.
Yeah. So good for you, Tammy, and I miss you, and I just wanted to say that. Peggy Delgadillo, Brenda Faye Vaughn. Oh, this is so good. We have a lot of new people. Hey, William Hirsch. And Susan Klinowski, and thank you. We love that you love our show because it's why we do it. Kathleen Anderson, and of course we have Ryan here tonight, and I'm real excited because Ryan and I are actually going to be we're going to be in Delaware. Ryan and I. Hey, there he is. Say hi, Ryan.
Hello,
Everybody say hi.
hello.
Let's put Ryan on. There you go. So Ryan and I will be in Delaware at the Delaware State Fair. I'll be doing my show. Ryan will be with me. We're going to be teaming up. We're going to have a great time as we always do on the road. And we will be.
Is Ryan doing that tap dancing number that he's been promising?
Funny guy.
Yes.
Funny guy.
No, but Ryan does
No,
something
he's
fun.
not.
He-
Sing in the rain or make them laugh. Maybe that's
yeah,
what it is.
no, but Ryan does it like this fun trivia show. So if people don't know who I am before we start, they know who I am by the time I come out on stage. So he came up with that idea,
it.
and it's so fun. So we open the night of the 21st at the Delaware State Fair, 2 shows a night, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. We will be there for 10 days and 2 shows every night. If you're anywhere near Delaware, I hope you'll come see us because, first of all, it's such a fun fair. They have great concerts too. We're going to have fun. And I get to see Ryan. I'm really excited. It's going to be good. And if you come, make sure you come see me after the show because that's why I do it, because I want to meet you afterwards and get my hug. Can we hug now? I hug everybody. Are we allowed to do that?
I'm not sure if it's correct anymore, you know. It might get onto the list.
Get onto the list. Exactly. Okay. So let's talk about how this little show that we're about to do is going to roll out. What are you? How is it going to work? Because
Well,
the
I'm gonna
lens
go-
is
I'm gonna
400
go in the
pounds.
house.
So
Right,
you
so
have to
that-
go to the lens.
We
The
were
lens
thinking
doesn't
about
come
bringing
here.
it out here, but it's heavy. And could I have the glasses back for a
Oh,
second?
yes.
I know you
Yes, you
set them on
can.
the couch over there.
Right.
But it's I'm going to go in the house, and right now it's actually sitting in the house.
Yep.
Right over here. Ryan, go to the house camera, Ryan. There it is. So that's our hallway in the house where the cameras. I'll be going there. That's my cell phone you're looking at live there.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So that's my cell phone.
Oh, you're doing a live switch to the cell phone. You
Yes.
figured that
Well,
out.
there it
you
is. So
are
that's the
so
cell phone,
smart.
and then-
Look at that.
And then, but what we were talking about last week, if you recall, was Mike Todd, who had married Elizabeth Taylor, who was best friends with my father. And Mike Todd was the quintessential showman for live shows, especially on Broadway, doing burlesque shows and things. And he got involved in the movie Around the World in 80 Days after Cinerama. So when Cinerama was brought out, it was essentially just a glorified travel log, but it was peripheral view, like 160 degrees of view. So I'm going to sneeze. And
Bless you.
got
And
to have
again.
in Paris.
Yes.
But that camera process was very complicated. There were 3 rolls of film that had to be run through the camera, and then that had to be stitched back together and projected with 3 projectors. So all the theaters had to be modified. It was very expensive to modify a theater to run those movies. So it was kind of a short-lived process. And very quickly, Mike Todd was interested in trying to come up with a way to be able to not have to use and modify all these theaters. So early on, back in the 50s, there was some widescreen, large format film that was being experimented with, but it was not very successful. They used it for some early films. As you know, and I explained last week, the studios were fighting over how to get people in the theaters, just like today. It was a time where people were staying home because they had TVs and other forms of entertainment, and they weren't going to the theater. So the widescreen thing was the way to get them in. And it really worked. I mean, the Cinerama movie was the longest running movie in the history of film to this day. I don't know how that would play out today because people can travel and go places, but how many people in the world can afford to travel to all these exotic places? Well, if you think about what happened next is he decided to come up with a movie, in a sense, that was also a travel log. So Around the World in 80 Days is, in effect, a travel log. You're following David Niven all around the world. And they literally went all around the world. And it would have been really hard to do this with the Cinerama camera. It was still difficult with the camera that they did use, but Mike Todd decided to have a special camera developed and a lens developed that could emulate the Cinerama process. Now, Cinerama was slightly wider, we have to confess, but a small amount wider. It wasn't so bad that you lost out on it. It was still crazy wide. And the picture quality, because it was a very large format film, was beautiful. And so there were a bunch of 70 millimeter cameras laying around from before that had been manufactured in earlier processes where they were experimenting with this. But it hadn't been used for years. So Mike Todd bought one of these old cameras, or a couple of them, but there's no lenses to do what he wanted. So he went to a company called American Optical Company, and there was one of the most sophisticated opticians in the world was there, and he said, well, nothing has ever been built like that, to have that wide field of view, it's going to be really expensive. So this is the 50s, right? It cost $60,000.
Which today would be
Like 600,000 or more. It's a few million. And Mike Todd wrote a check on the spot and had these people develop this lens. And we have this lens. So with that, I will go and show you the lens and the camera we have.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just saw the lens because it is so massive. It's so.
It is. Oh, look, here comes the
prizes
emergency
have arrived.
delivery of glasses.
And,
Bring it on up.
And
Bring it on up.
glasses. Did
Bring
you
it on
find
up.
my glasses?
Bring it on
oh
up.
my God, I hope so.
Bring it on
That's-
up. She's not bringing
Liz Cochran, ladies and gentlemen, is in the house. So we have everybody here.
Now, I'm going to have to leave it. Somebody's going to
So-
have to switch to that.
Do you want to show me how to do that?
Well, no, I think you should be in there. I'm going to show Liz how to do it.
Oh,
look who's-
Aspen,
you
come
didn't
on
tell
up
me you were
here.
here.
Look at who's here and ready to work.
Well,
we put the kids in the neighborhood to work. Todd's taught them how to operate cameras.
You know, she's growing up overnight.
You want to know something? I said that today. We went out
You're
to
getting
lunch.
tall.
to
How
her
much
mom.
have you grown in the last, say, year? Like several inches. I remember
but
you when you were
know
this
what I
big.
notice about her?
People used to say that
No,
to
when
me all
we
the time. I
moved
was like,
here,
"What are
she
you
was like
talking
this
about?"
big. But
Big.
But what I noticed about Aspen today was how her face is starting to become,
A
like
face,
so
a real face.
beautiful.
It's a
and
real face now.
It's,
I mean, it's
it's starting to become womanly and gorgeous, and it's because when you don't have kids of your own, you don't have a yardstick for time.
Well, this is your stepmom, right?
Not step, second.
Yes. Mama too. Backup mother.
Backup, the backup mama.
No, her mother's awesome.
The
All right,
other
well,
mother.
what I'm gonna have you do is we're gonna stay with Kat. I'm gonna go to this camera where Ryan is, the Zoom camera, in a minute, and I will be there on that on my phone. So we'll test that out right now.
So you want to show her what's
well, she
what,
knows over there where
Oh,
to do
it's-
it.
oh.
She doesn't need to sit here.
back at the
You drug her up here
at
for
the
nothing.
Aspen Ship Enterprise in the back because
Okay.
she runs the shows. All right, so
I'm gonna walk in there.
I will be here. I just need my glasses so I can see. Did you find them?
So it's
Yeah, I texted you, but
yep. It should be coming in.
did you give the birdies watermelon?
Right.
Yay, because it's 110
Yep.
degrees.
We can go back- we
Was
can
it
even go back and
110 today or more? More.
Yeah, you will.
115.
No. I'm going to have that camera on
Woo,
me.
that's
I'll be
that's
operating
hot.
the camera.
So
or Liz, I'll have
anyway,
you hold
we give the birdies
the
watermelon when it's hot because it makes them feel refreshed. So I want to read
What
my
does that mean?
things, but I don't have my glasses. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, okay. So I can't, but I'll have them in a minute. So let me just fill you in. So Todd's on his way into the house now. And so we have a part of the house that's set up as a museum. And the lens is in there. So you can see it. I don't know. I think you can only see me right now. But in a moment, you'll be seeing him. And he's got his camera in there. So we're going to switch back and forth. And he's going to tell you about this. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I think you might, that Todd was named after Mike Todd. And Mike Todd was like P.T. Barnum of the movies. Do you think that's fair to say? He really was. He was a visionary, and he dreamt big, and he made big, and he died very young in a plane crash. And that was shortly after Todd was born. But Todd has a special connection to Mike Todd. He very much feels him, and so for him to get this lens was a very big deal. And I'm so excited for him because Todd really loved Mike Todd, and who was his dad's best friend. And the rest is history. So we're going, okay, we're going to cut to you, right, baby?
Yep, she can cut to me.
All right, Aspen.
These were some of Mike Todd's shows that he did back in the day in New York. See how it says Mike Todd Presents? And these are different. You couldn't get away with that either. The Gay New Orleans, 1940. See, that was the New York World's Fair, 1940. That was the show he put on. And by the way, pretty risque stuff for 1940. Like, check out some of these pictures here. Look at those knees. But anyway, he was producing burlesque, which like there's one of the ones on the stage. And so that was sort of that was where he kind of got started with all this. And then came the Cinerama process, as I mentioned earlier. And then came this. So this camera was developed, as I said, long ago, the 70 millimeter, but nobody ever had a lens like this. So look at this lens, just to give you look at that, the size of that lens. And it gives you some idea of the size of that. But now look, go ahead and switch over to Apple TV for a second. And go ahead and she should be able to switch to Apple TV.
Is that it?
Kat, let me know.
Okay.
Well, it would be the slideshow showing these pictures.
It's
Are you
on.
seeing
It's
the
already.
black and white picture?
It's already on.
Okay. So we're looking at pictures of the production of Around the World in 80 Days. And there's the lens you're looking at. There was originally 4 of these made, but only one survives. There's Mike Todd reflecting in the actual lens you're looking at right there. And there he is again with this lens and camera. So quite a history. And you can imagine this big, heavy camera, which literally there's no way one person can even lift this. This alone is probably 150 pounds of glass. And then with this, it's more like 250, 300 pounds. So it's hardly a camera that one would throw over their shoulders. Now, while we're over here, come in closer, like down here is actually, this is the VistaVision camera down here. You get it close on that. I just walk up close on it. So this is Hitchcock's. Oh, switch back to the camera, did you? Mm-hmm. So there's Alfred Hitchcock with Cary Grant. If you notice, the camera behind him is that camera. So that was a widescreen. That was from Paramount Pictures, and that was a widescreen camera. But this started it all. Is the moral of the story. And then, of course, these are new versions of that VistaVision camera. I say, of course, but that makes it kind of interesting. But the unique part of this camera is that this giant lens was the only thing that could emulate what the Cinerama camera was able to do. And the only thing that made Mike Todd happy was to have that, because he wanted people to really experience it. So the movie won for Best Picture. And he, of course, famously went to pick up the award with my dad and Liz, and also with my mom. So there's a famous picture. In fact, we can go over here. I think I have a picture over here. Come over this way. We're going to go into the museum. We should be good. Yeah, so there's a picture of the 4 of them together. That's Mike, Todd, Liz, and my dad and mom. So it just gives you this interesting little history of the cameras. Now, you guys probably haven't seen some of the other stuff that's in this room, but while we're on the subject, over here, this is Charlie Chaplin's camera from SNA Studios in Chicago. And I like to tell the story that Max Sennett pretty much started Charlie Chaplin back in the day. And here's Charlie back here hiding. But this was the highest tech camera. This is 1917 when this camera came out. And it was like super high tech for its day. And this thing still runs to this day. You can run this camera. Can you hear that? This is the first light made for film. This is the first Diva light. And these are carbon arcs that would strike together. And you had this open flame here, basically like a welder that was shining light onto the subject. Because when this all was going on, there were no lights. So this was the first movie light made. And then just after that camera, a number of years later, Mitchell came along and made this. This is the Mitchell Standard. This camera was used by Warner Brothers in 1925 and on. Shot the Maltese Falcon, Casablanca, on and on and on. So very famous sort of historical camera. But these are all 35 millimeter cameras. So everybody isn't shooting at 35. And as I said, there was a revolution at a certain point around just after the war, and television comes out in the 50s. And so they were like struggling. What are we going to do to keep people in the theaters? And the answer was, we're going to start building these big cameras. So come back over here. So if you look here, After the Todd AO time, when they shot Around the World in 80 Days, they had just that giant lens. And Mike Todd just wanted that lens because he wanted that wide field of view. He thought that movies should be experienced like peripheral life. Like your eyes don't change. You move in or you move out or you move to the side, and things are choreographed around the camera. So when the movie Cinerama was made, the camera was so big and heavy, people had to literally stand around the camera and everything had to happen to the camera. Well, this camera was also that big, except they did put it on a geared head. So it's this type of geared head over here. So this camera, that camera, can run on a geared head. So it can be moved. So you get some motion. But again, he wanted that to be he didn't want lens changes. Like we're so used to this cut into the close-up, cut into the wide. But he couldn't fight City Hall, and other people wanted to use this format. So he had other lenses built. So here's the next Todd AO lens that was made, this series. Well, in fact, this one right here, I'm coming close to see this. Is there enough light? Let me press this light here. So this is that was the serial number 14. If you could see that, okay. But this is the lenses they started making. See, this mount is gigantic, but they started making conventional lenses where you could actually change to a close-up lens. And these lenses were used on movies like Cleopatra, and here's actually a picture of the movie Patton using a 70 millimeter lens. In fact, that's that geared head I just showed you over there. But right here is, if you notice right here, here's the movie Cleopatra, and you notice it says Todd AO. So they were using the Todd AO lenses by this point, famously, which was, pretty cool. Now, meanwhile, 20th Century Fox was using this. This is the CinemaScope lens. It's a big ass lens. Here, I'll take it. So this is a very big lens too. But this is going on 35 millimeter film. So it's a much smaller rear end to it, you see. And that was required. It's on the film, it squishes the image on the film. So you get this widescreen image squished. And then later when you project it in the movie theater, you have to have the reverse. This unsquished it. This is the projection lens. So you had to have the lens that squished it and then the lens that unsquished it. But this gave you this widescreen image, but it was nowhere near the quality of that because you had a little 70 millimeter piece of film. Whereas that, in fact, I have a piece of the film for those of you who have never seen film. I think some of you have seen film, but maybe not everyone. So I'll just come over here. See if I can get it. So you see here, I got my hand there for scale. There's a piece of 35 millimeter film. Imagine the 70 millimeter film is twice that size. So every frame is an enormous piece of film compared to the 35 millimeter film. And bigger is better in this case, unlike everything else. But it's true that the bigger format allowed the image to be bigger, brighter, better color, a lot of things. So some really great movies are made with these widescreen processes. Cinerama was totally impractical. Todd AO, the original format, wasn't for everybody. In fact, when they were shooting these movies, South Pacific was shot with this as well. And Rodgers and Hammersmith partnered up with Mike Todd. And they wanted, epic things to go with their great soundtracks, their great movie scores. And so they didn't like the idea of these smaller formats either. They wanted the epics. But there was a battle going on because you couldn't go into middle America with these giant things. They're not going to retrofit these theaters in these smaller cities. So they were shooting, if you looked at that slideshow, go back to the slideshow for a second. You'll notice they have several cameras sitting here in these slideshows. Now in this case, there's two widescreen next to each other. But in some of these other pictures, they're actually shooting with a CinemaScope camera right next to this one. And in fact, if you really analyze it, it's like a different movie. If you were to look at the different prints, they're slightly off angle because you can't have these, like that's South Pacific, that was a 65 millimeter. But that's a whole different format. So you can imagine that it's like this, if you put two cameras next to each other, as big as these are, this one's slightly off right here. Which one does the actor kind of play to, so to speak? So they're slightly different angles. Anyway, that was the evolution of film. And Mike Todd really was the guy that started the whole revolution. And Todd AO went on, for decades, becoming the lens to use, obviously all through the 60s. And the company eventually kind of faded away in the 70s. Here's a modern day version. I say modern, it's not really modern. Here's the next generation of CinemaScope lenses. I mean, you can see this as what's called an anamorphic lens. Look at the size. It's still heavy, but not as heavy as that. But nowadays you can have lenses this small that are anamorphic, but there kind of is no point because we have the ability with these digital sensors just to take and make any aspect ratio we want. So you can create the illusion of this wide image. But one thing you can't emulate, even with a sensor prop, is seeing what's in that room. So if we were shooting a scene in this little room that we're in now, you can't fake the lens. So if you're really trying to have sort of if I take my hands right now and I go like this, I can see them right here. That's a pretty wide frame of view. And that's what Mike Todd was going for. He wanted it to emulate what you see. So when you would go in these movies, you would go to these places. That's what it was like. It was like really experiencing it. It would immerse you into it. But you could see how this started as a travelogue and then how it would evolve into storytelling. So the merging of the storytelling to the travelogue is Around the World in 80 Days. And then, of course, other movies. You take South Pacific, which came in right after Around the World in 80 Days. It is a travelogue. We're back on this island and over there singing songs and doing all this stuff. It's like a movie made around an environmental movie because nobody can go to those places. Like today, lots of people go to Hawaii, go to the South Pacific, whatever. Back then, really hard. Even today, there's obviously billions of people that are never going to go to some of these exotic places. So, we need to maybe continue what Mike Todd was doing and merge the travelogue with. That's why people like these Mission Impossible movies and stuff, when they go to the exotic locations and you watch a 40-minute car chase. Well, I get bored watching a car chase, but I never get tired of looking at amazing places and exotic places, especially in the U.S. We have kind of this short history.
Hey, Todd.
Anyway,
Todd.
yeah.
I do have a question. I see someone asked, what is anamorphic? They like that you're able to explain everything you're talking about in layman terms, but when you say anamorphic lens, could you tell them what that means?
Put up the 20th Century Fox anamorphic lens. If you look at this lens, I don't know if you can see it or not. Well, here, tell you what. Let's actually hook this up to this little camera here. Now I'm going to stick this camera over the lens phone, and what you're going to see, I don't know if I can get this even to come in focus. Let's see if we can. Wait. It may not ever come into focus because it's obviously not meant to go on it. But what it's doing is, you can see it if I turn. Let me see. You see how that's bent in there? You see how it's like oblong shaped? Can you see the shape, Kat?
Yes, I can see it, and so can everybody else. Yes.
What's happening here is these lenses. You can see it really well on this giant one here. So I'll just pick this one back up. Now this is you can see how that lens is bent. I mean, the glass is literally warped. Let's see if we can look through this one. They're not obvious. Where are the lenses? There. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah, it's hard to see through them. I will set that up sometime, but you can see what's happening is the lens is concave. And then the opposite is happening when they project it. And this was actually developed by Bosch alone, the lens company, still around to this day out of New York. It was really genius because everybody had 35 millimeter projectors. And here we could get widescreen and just use a regular projector. So in those days, it was the only way to get this widescreen, still use all their old 35 projectors. All you had to do was change the lens on the projector to one of these, and maybe your screen. But that was small change compared to, like, in those days, like 50 grand, 70 grand to retrofit a Norelco 70 millimeter projector, or in the case of Cinerama, even more, build a whole new theater. So that was that was the anamorphic. You don't need anamorphics with the Todd AO lens. It's just a giant, massive frame. So you're not actually bending and unbending the image. So there actually is optically an advantage to the giant lens. But like think about this. Are you going to throw this camera on your shoulder? You know what I mean? Here's a modern VistaVision camera. Even this couldn't go on your shoulder. So there's a point where the technology is a hindrance to the creativity of maybe being able to run around with a camera. But on the other hand, there's something to the idea of experiencing and seeing something like your eyes would actually see it and hear it and feel it. So that, that's the other argument for, that was another major point. I should bring this up. Better sound. When you go to 70 millimeter, Mike Todd also changed the frame rate from 24 frames a second to 30 frames a second so that the sound would be better. In addition, the 70 millimeter film had room for 6 stripes of magnetic recording, like your tape machine. So you had 6-channel sound, or better than anything that you could do with 35. So the sound was far superior, which is why Rogers and Hammersmith was partnering up with it. Was not just because it was the latest and greatest and most beautiful visually, but it also was going to sound great. And that was very much what they were obviously interested in. So interesting partnership, right?
Yes, and Carlos Lovano is asking, what camera shot Singing in the Rain? Was that a Technicolor? What was that?
Right.
Yes?
Technicolor.
Yeah.
Yes, and talked about Technicolor before. The Technicolor camera was even bigger than this. And the aspect ratio, there's Singing in the Rain on right there. Come over here a minute. You see that clip right up there? You notice how it's masked compared to modern television aspect ratios. That's called 4:3, and these are all 4:3 aspect ratios. It's not square; it's slightly wide, but it's not widescreen. All of these early cameras that we've talked about were not widescreen. So the Technicolor camera had the same aspect ratio of all of these early cameras, but it was the first serious color film process. There's actually color film going all the way back to these days. It was like hand tinted stuff, and it was horrible looking. The first really serious color film was Technicolor, and to this day, it is the color. So like here's a pair of the Ruby Slivers. We all know how magical all of that looked in Technicolor. Obviously, we're not doing it. It looks decent on that camera, but man, there was nothing like Technicolor. It's what I call like the flesh tones and the colors are oversaturated. It's just everything about it's almost surreal, which is why The Wizard of Oz chose it, because it was also a great way to sort of have this surreal feel to the whole movie. Gone with the Wind, all Technicolor. Now, you can go back and look at real Technicolor movies, and I can show you. Later, they came up with a single strip version of Technicolor. Sorry, nothing like the real Technicolor. Impossible, though. I mean, imagine. Oh, here, I have a Technicolor magazine here.
Okay, and while you go to that magazine, I just want to say that Janie Hickok-Zeiss had a really great question. I love this. I noticed the photo of Marlon Brando as Vito Corleone. Are those the lenses from The Godfather? And what, if anything, is unique about them? That film was so beautifully stylized. So
Okay.
I know the answer to this, but Todd is going to be able to tell you beautifully. Here we go.
Yes, so those are the Godfather lenses. These are the lenses. So Gordon Willis was the director of photography. He chose these lenses after a lot of camera tests. And the look of the Godfather is two things. It's the lenses, and there's a certain look that the lenses have. Not too sharp, but not too soft. These were not overly state-of-the-art at the time, but they have sort of a period feel to them. And the movie was a period movie, obviously. In addition, they chose a sepia tone to the coloring of the movie. So the movie has a bit of a sepia look to it, meaning the colors are a little muted. But these are the actual lenses that shot it. These came from American Zoetrope. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. These are the actual lenses that shot it. Now, these are lenses were developed in the late 50s. These type of lenses shot thousands of movies, and they fit on this camera. So this is also the exact type of camera. This is not the camera that shot The Godfather, but this is the exact type of camera that would have shot The Godfather. It's a Mitchell. And the Mitchell BNC was the standard of the industry. I mean, literally thousands of shows and movies. This particular one shot Touch of Evil with Orson Welles, among other films. It also shot a bunch of my mother's movies. And the reason why I have this one on display is it's rare, but it's hard for you to see it. But come over here and see this. This is very rare because this was from 20th Century Fox. You have to go way in. So coming way in here, it's hard to see. Yeah, I could get a flashlight. Keep talking for 1 second.
I'm trying to also hold on 1 second because someone else. Todd had some of these lenses rehoused, and
I'll show 'em.
and that they can be used now on the modern day digital movie cameras that they use now. I'm not a fan of the digital movie camera because it doesn't have for me the warmth, that these film cameras gave. But if you put one of these lenses on there, you're going to get quite a picture. So why don't you explain to everybody how that works? And also, you can show them the lenses from The Shining, because I think that there were some amazing shots that were unique only to that movie, shot with these particular cameras, these lenses. So go ahead and take that from there.
Well, this lens, for an example, let's take this one here. Which one we got here? This lens that I showed you earlier, these are handmade lenses. None of this stuff there were no computers invented. Everything you're looking at had to be made and engineered by hand, designed by hand, slide rule days, no calculators, no nothing. So the engineering on these lenses is amazing. And there was a tremendous amount of trial and error that went into perfecting these lenses. These lenses came from this lens. This is the lens that started. These are the first Baltar lenses made by Bosch alone. And this is literally these. I have a set of these right now on loan at the Academy. They shot Citizen Kane. They look just like this, but the Citizen Kane ones are on loan to the Academy. But it's this lens. And it was an evolution from this to this. I mean, this was like, just 30, 40 years of engineering and working with DPs. And also, those are black and white only days. These are color film days. So the coatings and the glass had to take that into account. But what Kat was bringing up was this. So I've taken those lenses and over a period of 30 years, working with a company in England called TLS, I had to find lenses that matched these. And I would send these lenses over to England and we would match lenses. And I went through 20 lenses to get to a pretty close match set. So there's the same lens rehoused in a modern housing that can be used on a modern digital camera. So we can, in effect, get the Godfather look without risking the Godfather lenses. I will say, if you handle them carefully, there's no reason why you can't use these lenses. There's nothing wrong with this lens. It's a little more difficult to use compared to the new ones. The focus rings and things work very, very smoothly and easily compared to the old days. And a lot of modern film people would whine about that, film students, but the old timers wouldn't have noticed. These lenses down here were the Panavision lenses that shot many films, but including Star Wars. But Kat brought up this over here. She brought up this The Shining. So there's this is a special lens. Now, Kubrick wasn't unlike a Mike Todd. Kubrick actually had lenses made to suit his production design. So he was shooting this movie called The Shining and The Clockwork Orange and other films. And he liked to use this surreal wide angle images, where people are leaning into the lens, especially like when Nicholson is going crazy or the girls are pedaling down the hallway with the little tricycle. All of that stuff was shot with a super wide angle lens. This is probably the most wide angle lens, certainly at that time, but even to this day, it's one of the widest angle lenses ever made. And so this is a very wide lens. Now, this is only made to cover a 35 millimeter sensor. You could not put this on any of those cameras. You'd have a little round circle in the middle of the film. But this works on 35 millimeter and created that fantastic effect of Nicholson losing his mind. And just in case you don't have the key, there's the key to the room in case you want to go visit.
I love it. Hey, real quick, would it be okay if you could wander over, because Sherilyn Coviello was just asking something about the Singing Nun, and you have something in there from the Singing Nun. Can you get to it without?
I'm standing right here. I want to bring up one of the things, and I'm standing right here.
You bet.
Show this. Now you see this cranking camera right here. This is called a Parvo. It was a hand camera. You notice on the side it says Universal Newsreel. So we got our news in these days. We didn't have TV, right? So the news was either gathered by newspaper, but the only visual medium for news was in the movie theaters. So all of the major studios had newsreel cameras that went out and filmed the news. And they would, borrow events worldwide and ship stuff back and forth. And so these are all hand cranker cameras, very heavy but portable. And you could film the events of the day. So, but literally Fox, Universal, Warner Bros., they all had their newsreel components. And then agencies started popping up that would do this for them. So, you had, that's where Associated Press, the United Press, those agencies popped up, where you had stringers filming and gathering. Just like today, people with their iPhones are doing, imagine back then, but you had to have a camera. These cameras were really expensive back then. I mean, this is no iPhone. In the day, this camera was thousands of dollars. And I'm talking about the 1930s and 20s. So you can imagine, that was like psychedelic money. But that's where we got our news. So your question was about the singing.
Yes, I want to just, I just to get off the cameras only for a minute, but when someone mentions a film and we have something from it, I like to give them the thrill that I get when I look at it. Even as a collector, you just never get over the thrill of it. Isn't that true? You just never get over the thrill of it.
There's a picture of my mother in the movie The Singing Nun, and there's the guitar.
There it is. That's for you, Sherilyn. The guitar. I love that guitar. Hey, and let me ask you something. Your mom didn't play the guitar when she got that role. Did she learn to play the guitar for the role?
Yes. What happened was that's how I ended up learning to play, because she started taking lessons at the same time, and I was fascinated by what was going on, and so she had her instructor also give me lessons at the same time. So we both learned to play Dominique and all that at the same time. And she played guitar. And if you notice, she then took that to her Vegas act. And there's the actual guitar again used in her Vegas act. When she was off the movie set, she then took that and brought it into her Vegas act. So the guitar continued to have a purpose beyond the movie. And my mom, she kept everything. So there it is.
So Sherilyn says her first movie when she was in first grade that she saw was The Singing Nun. So thank you. So that's it.
I think that's a great movie.
I love that film. I love it.
We were on the set of that movie a lot, and Mark Rich and his brother are actually two of the orphans in the movie. This is Margie's kids.
Yes.
And I believe, yes. And so anyway, there was a lot of, we were old enough to really appreciate that. That stuff all came even after Molly Brown, so we were getting old enough to start appreciating some of the nuances of filmmaking and whatnot at that point. So we were really spending a lot of time with her on the set.
And for the longest time, we also had the guitar from, Julie Andrews' guitar from the Sound of Music. And that was sold in an auction. But it was very, before the first auction, we had all of this stuff in a warehouse on the ranch. And so, it all has to be kept at a very special temperature. You can't touch things without gloves. It was, but I used to just walk through there and look at things, and certain things were locked up in a safe, and the Marilyn Monroe costumes and things like that. But at that things... What?
a lot of that stuff was in Vegas, and it would get moved around, as you know. So things were constantly either in Vegas or everything owned by the museum, the nonprofit entity, was at the ranch, and then the stuff that Debbie owned was at her condo in Vegas.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was all over the place, which was, to me, one of the, because it was constantly being moved. So one of the things to me is that you managed to, in the end, keep it all together, because, you know, when things are moved around so much, it's at a lot. So, you know, it's incredible. And your mom used to always give you credit
She was
for
careful about, you know, loaning things out. And, you know, I mean, the subway dress just got moved a handful of times, you know, and she never loaned that, except when it was in Vegas, it was the longest stretch. We had it on display at the hotel.
Yeah.
But Sound of Music guitar and dress actually was not on display in Vegas because we didn't even recover it until after that. That had been stolen from my mother by a former employee that was helping her take care of the collection, one for you, one for me.
Oh, yeah.
And hundreds of costumes over a period of time. And then I was able to recover that years later. And so we ended up getting that back. And then it became part of the collection again. And then it eventually ended up being sold when my mom decided we weren't doing the museum.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's really so fun to see. And when people come here for a seminar or, you know, any event that we have, one of the greatest pleasures is being able to share this collection with them, because it just is it takes you back to an amazing time. And, you know, each one of these things has an energy to it, and it really does. So when you walk into this museum part, you get this goosebumpy feeling, you know, and it's not just that you're looking at something, you actually feel this era. So it's an amazing thing. And it's fun for me to watch you doing this, because I'm like in the audience with everybody. It's fantastic. So
now, we were talking about the Technicolor process earlier. This is a film magazine from a Technicolor camera, and you notice it says Selznick Productions. So this is David O. Selznick, and he was the producer, and his production company produced a lot of films, but they produced it. But you see it holds 3 35 millimeter rolls of film inside of this magazine. Now this is a 400-foot magazine. We also had 1,000-foot magazines, but if I open this up, you'll see that it has the ability. It has to be obviously light, dark inside, or you expose the film to light it's done. But you'll see the reels inside. There actually are 3 different places to load the film. See, that's the first reel, then you'd load in the next reel, and then you'd load in the final reel after that, the last one. As soon as I get that lined up right.
Hi, Joe Hughes. I'm reading comments. People are so enjoying this, and that makes me feel really good, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that still really care about this. Wow, that looks heavy.
It's very heavy. The camera was crazy heavy. Now that magazine could have worked on Singing in the Rain also, but here's something interesting. That sticker shouldn't be on there because Technicolor never sold their equipment. So the idea that he put an ownership sticker on that was, you know, bogus, because he couldn't own it, because Technicolor only lent you equipment for the production. So you would go to Technicolor and say, I'm making a movie, I need this. And they'd set you up with all the equipment, and it wasn't yours, and they never sold any equipment. So even the big studios, MGM, never owned a Technicolor camera. It was all lent to them from Technicolor. Just an issue point. So having the sticker on there is kind of a funny anomaly, because he didn't really own it. Thief!
What? What happened?
Nothing.
I thought I heard
I'm on my way back.
You're on your way
No,
back? I would love to have you back. I miss you. Come on home now, honey. Come back here.
We're coming back. You take over.
Okay. All righty. I enjoyed that so much, and I know you all did too. I've never seen so many hearts on our show, and I really appreciate that. And also just that you know, what's very special about our room here every week and why we love each other so much is because, you know, we really do have a cool thing here. You know, it's like a little secret club, and it's great. And the fact that you all are interested in old Hollywood and all the things that it took to create the magic that was created back in the grand MGM and 20th Century Fox days of classic films. I mean, it's just such it's such an honor to have this and to be able to touch it and to be able to be a part of that, even if it's just touching the cameras that and the lights that lit things up. We even have the cranes from there. So this has always been Todd's passion because his mom was really into the costumes, and Todd then brought into focus for the collection the cameras, the lenses, and all of that stuff. So, and also your mom always gave you great credit, you know, for the fact that if it weren't for you, you know, that this collection would have been just in the ethers, you know, would have been thrown to the winds because it was moved around so much, but you always knew where everything was because I believe you were the one that moved everything. Right?
I was.
Yeah.
In fact, there was hard for people to understand that, you know, that the collection, first of all, you know, when we moved away from Vegas, when the hotel shut down, we had to store everything here. We had nowhere else to put it.
Yeah, but I remember that there were things when we went to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Well,
there were things there.
Well, we
when
moved
went,
a lot of the collection
yeah.
there because we were very close to getting the museum open there.
Oh,
so
that
was a
building,
schlep.
and you designed that museum, and they
Huge
built
building.
it. How many square feet was that building?
It was 5 stories. It was 120 some odd feet tall.
Yep.
It was like,
And it was like shaped like a showboat.
yeah, but it had 3 huge theaters in it, including one that was over 250 seats with the revolving stages for the costumes. 3 different theaters. There was the main theater, the Epics Theater, and the Classics Theater. And what was unique, and we did it here in Vegas too, is it was a time where nobody had really seen, very few people had seen these films in their originally intended format on a big screen. So you would go in a theater and you'd see for the first time ever, maybe, you know, Ben-Hur, Mutiny on the Bounty, Gone with the Wind, Cleopatra, you know, in their intended format. And for a lot of people, it was startling because all they'd ever seen it on is television. So to be able to see these movies, and if you get the chance and they show them in your local theaters, you should go because it's really quite extraordinary.
To see it on a big screen as opposed to television.
They've remastered a lot of these movies as well. How the West is one, for an example, has been remastered into a single frame so you don't have to show it in a Cinerama theater, and they do show it in other theaters. So it's a super impressive thing to see these movies the way they were intended to be seen. It's not at all like, sorry, you know, I mean, as good as the plasmas and the LCD, OLED, and et cetera are, there's child's play compared to a big, bright cinema screen.
Well, I'm just going to say a few things that the folks said, and then we're going to, Patricia Duff says, you're a talented historian. Isn't that wonderful? Hey, Jill Daniels here. Hello. Let's see. Who will carry on? Oh, good question. Who will carry on saving and preserving these items when you no longer can? She did not get the memo that we are living forever.
Yeah, I have a.
They will stuff us like Trigger.
I'm
and we
under
will
a contract.
Have mechanical parts.
I'm under contract for another 200 years, so I don't know how that's going.
Right. But that's a good question because. You know, it's funny. You would think that people care about it like we do, but it's a big thing to put this in somebody's hands. So I would think that I don't know the answer to that, but well, there's
in theory it could be John Haas possibly. You know, it's you know. He's the most into it from a technical perspective.
Yeah, and he's serious about that, you know. So I love that idea.
John is actually part of our estate already, and would actually take over a lot of this anyway.
Yeah.
But there are, I mean, as soon as, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where you just have to believe that the right people will be put in our path, you know, and this stuff. I'm hoping that there'll be a proper museum too one day. I mean, that's being discussed. The Academy, for whatever reason, doesn't have very much on display. They're borrowing our Godfather lenses next.
Oh, they are?
So they borrow.
So when they borrow those lenses, do they still keep the
I'm not sure if they're
the,
taking that down or they're keeping that up. I don't know.
other lens they have of ours, right?
Well, they right now. So they have the Wong lenses from Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane, that's right.
And Wong was the master DP from the 30s, but The Godfather, Gordon Willis, in his own way, another master cinematographer. Interestingly enough, the guy that trained me in cinematography was a guy named Harry Stradling Sr., or Harry Stradling because he wouldn't say senior at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But he was actually the guy that did all the camera tests for Mike Todd with that camera and that lens.
Wow.
It's a weird kind of strange anomaly. He didn't go, and he wasn't the DP on the movie for whatever reason. Probably was on some other epic at the time. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. It's not just the cameras, and it's in general. You hope that the Academy, has the wherewithal to be able to take this on. They should, of course. And if they really were diligent and were doing a great job, I would be all for this. I just haven't seen the expansiveness of what I would perceive it to be. I had more stuff on display in our little museum in Vegas than they have in the entire museum in Hollywood. So that's not intended to be a put down, but I am telling you that I have substantially more in a fraction of the space. And it wasn't like a closet either where you just jam stuff in, although we did jam stuff in. I mean, comparatively speaking, because we had to, but we had about 10% of the collection on display, and it was more than they have in the entire Academy building right now.
I worked for Evel Knievel when I was young.
Of course I know that.
So I really, when he got older, he he was always a painter. He was a wildlife artist. And so what he did later in life was he had this gigantic semi, and he would tour his paintings around the country. And they were really good, and people would buy them, and sometimes, but it was really a cool idea. And so I wonder sometimes if it wouldn't be fun to have a museum. There's a 9/11 museum like that.
I don't
saw
think we
it.
could afford the gas price.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely.
I'm kidding. No, I'm not.
You're not, because
No,
a semi gets about 4 miles to the gallon.
Hey, all I'm saying is we have museums in this country for everything. And we seem to be very philanthropic when it comes to, certain types of art. We've been way behind the curve on the entertainment industry, way behind the curve. My mother knew it long ago. I think I did a count one time. We had like 180 frickin' museums for impressionistic art in the United States. We even have a museum for bricks back east, a brick museum. And yet we had no Hollywood museum. So I just think that's a huge oversight and beyond unconscionable. So now you finally have a couple of decent museums. There's the Moving Image Museum. You have the Academy Museum. There's a few, around. We want to do one here in Vegas. But, again, I don't see that. None of them are even as expansive as the little one that we had. So, and my phone's not ringing for any help on these things. I would be happy to help. I know where a lot more stuff is buried too. It's like one of those stories.
Oh yeah. Now they said my mic is going in and out. Is it cracking even if I'm not anywhere near it or touching it? Because I don't want to drive people crazy. It's going in and out.
Yes, your mic is definitely cracking.
Here, just plug this in instead. No, don't take the mic off.
Oh, I can use the handheld.
Just plug this right into it. Just unplug that and plug it right into there.
Hold on, let me turn it off first.
You don't have to.
Okay. All right.
We're going to patch her in.
Did you have a question?
I did. I was wondering if Todd had a particular piece of memorabilia or lens that he has his eye on that he's waiting to be available, or is he have everything desired?
I think he just got that.
Well, you're not going to ever beat what I just got. I mean, that is without a doubt. As much as all this other stuff we've talked about, a lot of it's super cool stuff. There's no doubt it has its importance. That is like the holy grail of lenses and cameras. But I actually, this week, I have further stuff arriving from another friend of mine, Roy Wagner.
Ooh, Roy will get here Monday. Talk about a great director of cinematography.
You should look Roy Wagner up. So Roy Wagner was also trained by Harry Stradling. He and I have been friends for decades. And he helps me do a lot of the authentication and finding a lot of the stuff. I would not have that set up in there if it wasn't for Roy. He is the one that had his eye on it. And I hate to say this, but in effect, waiting for the guy to pass away. And, it's like,
oh, jeez.
Well, because the guy that had it wasn't going to sell it. He was going to take it with him.
Right.
But his children really appreciate what I'm doing and want me to have it. So it wasn't just a financial thing. They really want it to be preserved.
Right.
And so with that, the same guy also had some additional lenses that are coming. That I'm going to be looking at, and so there's additional history en route. So this week we're going to get to Roy's coming in. We're going to look at this other stuff. But I mean, I'd say that the mission is pretty simple, and that's just sort of. I'll tell you, in the museum in Las Vegas, this is an interesting way to put all of this. The most photographed item in the entire museum, the subway dress, all these different things, right? The most photographed thing was a big camera on a dolly. Everybody wanted their picture next to a big camera on a dolly, one of these classic movie cameras with the geared head. That had more pictures taken than anything else. And so there's a romantic thing about the equipment, the stuff that captured the images, the history of it. It's an important thing. And so it needs to be preserved, and I think people do understand and appreciate it. Even people who you would not expect to care about it, when they see this stuff, they do get enamored by it. And it is how we got to where we are, and I'm not saying we're moving forward in all areas, but I intend to take that Todd AO lens, by the way, and mount a digital 12K camera to it. We are going to, that's one of the things Roy and I are going to work on this week, so that's going to be a fascinating thing.
Well, what's really great is that, Jordan being here, you should do a vlog on Roy Wagner because he's incredible. Yeah, and he really is, and he's such a great interview. And
he and I have done a lot of interviews together. It's like overwhelming. You've sat there with the two of us, haven't you, before? It's really funny. I mean, we are two peas in a pod. But truthfully, if I were, if I'm not going to film something myself and I need to hire a DP, I'm hiring Roy. He's one of the best lighting guys there is. Plenty of people can operate a camera, but his experience in terms of lighting a set, there isn't anybody better. His experience in general, just we'll call it just movie experience as a DP is second to none. He's in his 70s. He's been on the sets, as long as me, but but he was older. He's a few years older than I am. So at any rate. He's also helped the ASC and other organizations, save some cameras. And there are some cameras in other basements and other places,
Is he the president of the?
He was.
Am I remembering this right?
Well, he was involved with the ASC's museum, but it doesn't really have a museum. But he was. At one point they had like a arm that was sort of heading in that direction, but it never went anywhere. The ASC is just not focused on that. I don't think they have the resources. That's a small group compared to the Academy. They don't have the Academy Awards, for example.
I still like the idea of a semi museum because not everybody can afford to travel.
Well,
and it would be so wonderful if people could experience this in
person. I could
make,
if I wanted to, I could put together a traveling thing and offer it to museums.
Yeah.
So I could take the whole collection, variety of things, and I could say, this is 5,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet, and there would be a lot of museums that would want that. I mean, and I've done it before. I actually did this early on. I mean, I actually even took stuff to Japan for display there in a museum. So, there are museums all over the world that would want this. But I will tell you, it's a monumental pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Oh, yeah.
hard on the equipment, and things disappear and all of that. So the better scenario, is you put it in a permanent place. And, the other thing is at this moment, I'll never donate anything to any other organization until I would feel that somehow it was responsible enough
Right.
to keep it, because I know too many horror stories about organizations that don't take care of the stuff, or they sell it.
Have you ever think about this? If Pigeon Forge, now they built the museum that Todd designed, and it was, like he said, 5 stories. It was gorgeous. We went there after, what happened was in 2008 when the market crashed, this amazing, not only just the museum, but Pigeon Forge, what was it called? The Bell Island.
It was called Bell Island. It was the
Bell
whole complex.
Island was in Pigeon Forge, but it was just going to be incredible. And then 2008 hit, the market crashed,
The
economy crashed.
the lender went under.
The lender went under, and everything. I think that was like the final thing that about did Debbie in, because that was the key was in the door. I mean, it was that close. So when we went and you were showing me around inside there, and to think that just got torn down this past decade, it just. It was so amazing, this building, that the thought of tearing it down.
This was a world class building.
Yes.
It was all made of structural steel. I got Train Air Conditioning to sponsor the whole project. We had the most advanced air conditioning, specially made elevators, high-speed elevators, because the design was made for you to start in a theater that went down, and then you exited out on the bottom, and then you went through different pavilions that were themed after different types of film genre, such as, the classic era, the silent era, westerns and war
Right.
and science fiction, etc. And so you would go through, and then you would get in an elevator that would take you up to the top floor. And then that would take you, then you'd be in a group of pavilions up there. Then you get in another theater, which took you down to the middle. It was this very complicated floor, but it required very sophisticated electronics and elevator systems. And it literally was, a world-class building. It rivals what the Academy has, not in size.
No, I will tell you, I believe that as well, because when we went to see that museum, it was a former department
May
store.
company.
Yeah, May company. So it's a many stories, but yours was so fantastic because not only was it also just in size, the magnitude of it was amazing, but you knew what you had and you designed it for that.
Well, it was built around the collection and other collections, because I had arranged to borrow additional pieces. But it was.
But at that time,
here's
you
the
had
important thing.
thousands of costumes at that time.
3,000 costumes.
Yeah.
But the difference between what the Academy did, and they ended up having to rebuild that thing basically from the ground up anyway, but we literally built and designed from the ground up. So as you say, it was built up around the collection and how it was to be displayed and what was to be displayed, the types of rotations that would take place, the interactivity that would take place. I had tremendous sponsorships, from Lucas on down, and it was going to be a world-class facility.
I never saw anything like it, and I've seen a lot of things in my life. But had that museum opened, had Bell Island opened, we'd be living in Pigeon Forge,
I don't know that you'd be living there, but
we would be.
I love
we
Tennessee.
Would be. I like it too. Tennessee is a beautiful state.
I like Tennessee. I like the people in Tennessee. And I was, even in those days, I was getting kind of fed up with some of the California politics and craziness in California, the business side of California.
Yeah.
California's been deteriorating for decades. It's taken a long time to get this screwed up over there. They had to really work hard to mess up that state.
Yeah.
But I remember, a lot of times when I'd go, I was there a lot, as you can imagine. We were building this place,
Yep.
and I was really loving it there. It's a great, and 2/3 of the population east of the Mississippi live within a day's drive of Pigeon Forge.
Barbara
that?
Rue would
2/3 of the whole population of the United States.
what?
2/3 of the population of the U.S.
Yes.
lives within a day's drive of Pigeon Forge.
Oh, wow.
So that's like millions of people, and that is why that place is so popular, because you don't have to fly and go through all the nonsense. Even back then, there was still trouble flying. ever since 2001, obviously.
Right. Barbara Rue wanted to know if you had ever been to the Edison Museum in New Jersey.
I have. I have my absolute favorite museum, as you must know, is the Cody, Wyoming Wild Bill Hickok Museum.
You took me there, and we had a romantic
There's a
trip
place for you to
there.
go,
I
by the
love
way,
that.
there, buddy. You, Jordan?
He's making a note.
That museum
it is
is
fantastic.
And here's why. There's a lot of things there, and they've added a lot of stuff since the early days when I used to go there. But one of the things that's unique is they have so Wild Bill Hickok had a road show with Annie Oakley and all of these people in it, and they had early motor homes of the day. These were wagons, literally, and they had all of their makeup and all of their canvas and their touring equipment. Roadshow, like today we have tour buses and Prevost buses.
No, I know.
They had
had
the equivalent of that in covered wagons, and they have it all
in that
there.
museum.
So,
it is
so you can see
awesome.
Annie Oakley's wagon that had her
Costumes,
little
yeah.
that she lived in, had her makeup and her costumes. They have everything was preserved.
So
it's astounding.
Janie Hickok Seiss, who you have met because she was at Get Your Fire Back, says, Wild Bill is my ancestor, no joke.
Well, I will tell you that he was the quintessential showman. Obviously, historically, he won the Congressional Medal of Honor. He was an early Indian fighter, then later went on to exploit the Indians in his show, but in not a horrible way. I mean, like when you consider the times, the Indians made some money, and they took advantage of him too. There's a movie actually later that's relatively accurate that Paul Newman plays Wild Bill, and you have a character playing
Janie Hickok, of course. It's
Why
Wild
not?
Bill Hickok.
Well, your
there it is.
ancestor was one of the quintessential showmen, and the history of his world is perfectly preserved. He owned part of the town of Cody, Wyoming. You go to the bar, he owned the bar. He owned the hotel. He owned the whole place.
Yes. All right. Well, I just have a comment here I want to read real quick. Joey Reynolds, this is a master class in media production, and I'm so glad for this. Well, you know what, Joey? We're glad that you came because you're kind of a new name for me here. And so we're super happy you came and hope you'll come back. We try to do a lot of this in the show because it's our joy to do so, to share it all with people. Now, we're going to start giving stuff away now. Ryan
Ryan had something going on, I saw.
Yeah, Ryan said
What
Now
happened?
he's younger. See,
What happened?
he said the Star Wars stuff he will be in charge of.
Now, I would not like responsibility of, like, the dress, big things like that.
I'll teach you,
just-
Ryan. Don't you worry about it. You never would think I would play with dresses either, but I'm digging it. I can
right.
totally
I
dig
didn't-
it.
You got me there.
No, let me. A lot of people thought, okay, so maybe he's gay. But I mean, telling you that the reality is that I like looking after this stuff. You know, it really has nothing to do. Like there seems to be some stigma that if a guy plays with dresses, he must be gay. But that is not the case. I think that it's perfectly viable to play with dresses, and I think it's. I think the costumes are really an interesting component. It was never my passion, the costumes per se, but I had to kind of take it all, and so it became about the costumes and the props and everything. I always kind of preferred.
I wasn't even thinking that it was the dress. I mean, it's so iconic. Like, that's a big responsibility for anybody to have. That dress is iconic, regardless of whether it's a dress or not. But that's a big movie deal.
Well, I mean, any collection, has its own level of responsibility. And then if it's the only one, I think there's something to be said. Like, when you're looking at that big lens there, that's it. If something happens to that, that's it. It's like that dress. I mean, now you can ruin costumes so much easier. You do not have to look, paper products, costumes, they do have to be properly preserved. If you guys do collect things, I encourage you to learn how to preserve them properly. I did get training over at the Victoria and Albert Museum, and I'm friends with a lot of people in the preservation industry, and so there's a lot to conserving collections that should be learned if you do have good stuff. So it's not enough just to have the money to buy the stuff, because it'll be dead. I know people that went out and bought some really high-end collectibles and killed them. one day they opened up the closet and the moths flew out and that was it. So that's a shame. My conversation years ago with the Victoria and Albert Museum was, how do I make sure that we have stuff from our Hollywood royalty hundreds of years from now? Because they were showing me coronation outfits from kings and queens that were 400 years old, textiles, it's remarkable. And so I was like, how do we do that? Because we're halfway there, but wouldn't it be nice in 200-300 years to be able to see the Marilyn Monroe subway dress? So while we had it for our time, we preserved it and made sure we handed it down in that kind of condition that it could go on for hundreds of years. If you take care of it and don't leave it on display constantly, it'll be around for future generations, and that's what this is all about.
Exactly. So how are we giving prizes away tonight, Ryan?
We have the randomizer. I have been jotting
Collect
down the
names,
of people
all right.
who have. Yeah. So let me share my screen, and we can.
Okay, everybody. For those of you who are new, and I know we have a lot of new people tonight, I just want to let you know that we are choosing 8 winners, otherwise known in this room as 8 wieners. We're going to have a really good time. We are giving away 8 prizes, and when you came into the room, your name showed up on the screen. You were given a slot in the randomizer, and the randomizer picks our winners.
There's your first winner.
Our first wiener tonight is Andrea Sodman, a brand spanking new name. Okay, so if you are still here, Andrea, the only thing you have to do to get your prize, and I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute, is you have to just write info@catcosmetics.com and claim your prize. And
do we know what the prizes are?
I have them right here. Look at this. So this is, I'm sorry, you took that name down and that was a new name for me?
Oh, sorry, Andrea Sodman.
Andrea Sodman. Okay, Andrea, you have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. Aspen, I'm going to have you jump over here to my cam so I can hold that up. You back there? There you go. Gotta love it. Camera girl's 12 and I love her. She's doing a great job. We give equal opportunity employment here. Anyway, Andrea, you have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com, which is my company. This was donated lovingly by my Australian friend, Deborah Rouse. Thank you, Deborah. And remember, Andrea, write me if you are still here, because you have to claim your prize. You got to be in it to win it. There you go. We're going on number 2. Linda Gildersleeve. Linda Gildersleeve, you are a wiener. What did you win? Oh my gosh, she knows where the button is. Unbelievable. Good job. That was awesome. We always want applause for our wieners. Every wiener deserves an applause, don't you think?
Applause.
Donated lovingly by Barbara Hammond. So Linda Gildersleeve, let's see what you have won. I love this part. Ooh, you have won. Barbara Hammond, this is a great gift to give. Linda, this is a great gift to get. It is the Cat Cosmetics Miracle Working Foam. It takes your makeup off, the dirt of the day. It also tones your skin at the same time. 2 little pumps of this and it's all gone and you feel clean and toned and awesome. So, Linda, make sure you write me at info@catcosmetics.com and claim your prize. Going to need your address. All
Next
right,
winner.
number 3, Vicki Giddens. Vicki Giddens, you are the wiener. Let's see what you have won. There's your applause. There you go. Donated by our own Barb Kevern. Thank you, Barb, so much. You're so good to this show. We appreciate it. And here you go. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Sorry, who was the last winner? Vicki Giddens. Vicki, you have won below 0. Let me tell you, this is one of the biggest hits that we have had. And it's great. It's a lipstick that is white and frosty. And you can
You
put
might
it
have
over.
it on right now.
I don't have it on right now. I wear it a lot, though.
Over the top of something else.
Well,
right?
you take one of those sad old lipsticks that you bought and had buyer's remorse that are sitting in the drawer, and you put it on and say, why? Why did I buy this? It looks terrible on me, but you put this over it, And it all of a sudden is something brand new and beautiful and frosty, and it's amazing. So you have won that. Make sure you write me at info@catcosmetics.com and let me know that you are claiming your prize, and let me know where to send that. All right, Vicki Giddens, I think we might have your address. I think you're also a client. You know, there you go. Okay, Sandra Rock, you are a wiener. You are a wiener too. You have won, you have won a gift that was donated by our Kylie Catlett. Aloha, Kylie. She lives in Hawaii. So nice. Thank you. There is your Sandra Rock.
Don't be shy. You can jack that up.
You can jack that applause up. Everybody needs to be applauded. For you, Sandra Rock. All right. So here we go. Oh, is this? It is. This is sublime, isn't it? Who is this donated by? Let me look. Kylie Catlett. Kylie, good choice. Okay. Oh, yes. This is Rich 2.0. Okay, this is a luxury crayon. I know it's far away from you, but there you go. It's a luxury lip crayon. You don't have to sharpen it. You just push it up from the bottom. Long wear. Gorgeous. If you know Rich lip gloss, then you'll understand Rich 2.0 is the lipstick version of that, and that's our biggest selling gloss for 21 years. So congratulations, Sandra Rock. You are a wiener, and thank you, Kylie Catlett. Okay, next
Why don't you
winner.
give Barb the, I was going to say you should give her the make them laugh maybe, because she probably doesn't
You know
have
what?
that.
That's a good idea, because look who
Okay.
won.
I'm saying she would
Barb Kevern.
just grab the,
Barb Kevern, you give, and karma says you get back. And so I love that. You have won, and this is a really cool thing. You have won Debbie's last book, the last book she ever wrote of her whole life, called Make 'em Laugh. And if you have it already, let me know. But this book is very special because it was her last one, but it's also a little bittersweet because she wasn't able to promote it
that's right.
when it came out like she did Unsinkable, because she had had a stroke and people didn't know it, but you know, she couldn't have
I like
possibly.
the caption, short-term memories of longtime friends.
Short-term memories of longtime friends. Anyway, Barb Kevern, you have won Make 'em Laugh, and this was donated by Todd Fisher. So thank you. Thank you so much for everything you do for us, Barb. All right, next one is Geraldine Coviello. Geraldine, what did you win? Let's see. I love this part. I love this part. But there's nothing in the bag.
Well, you just,
There's a note on the card. Donated by Amy Perkins, so I know what this prize is. Yes, I do. It is a cameo by me. So, Geraldine, write me at info@catcosmetics.com and let me know who you would like me to make that for. Is it for you or somebody else? And if there's anything in particular that you're going through in your life that you want me to know about, and I will make this for you. Thank you, Amy Perkins. That's a really nice thing to give, and I couldn't be any more pleased than to make that for you, Geraldine. Thank you so much. All right, and we now have Diane Vogt. Oh, boy. Diane, you are a wiener. Let's see what you have won. I swear, I love Diane Vogt. Oh, wow, Diane. All right, I don't know if you've ever bought this or had this. This is donated by Cat Cosmetics, so that would be us. And it is called the Illuminizer Stick. And I don't know if you probably can't see it, but it is a silver, shimmery stick that you can wear on your eyes, your face, and your lips over your lipstick.
You want me to
much
turn on the
like
close-up camera?
Below Zero. Yeah, if you want to go close up on that.
we could take camera 5 and go in closer.
All right. Oh, look, she
Hit
already
5.
did it. You
Yeah,
are
hit
good.
5.
All right. So
Or
you
use
can
4.
see
Okay.
this. It's a beautiful,
But I would
beautiful product.
leave her camera where
and
it
you can
was,
use
and
it
we'll
much
use
like
5.
Below Zero. But
Put
what
her
I really
back,
love
pull
about
out.
this is that you can wear it on your eyes. You can wear it on your face
Let's
as a
do this.
highlighter. It is a soft, creamy stick, and it's unbelievable. So
Just
Diane
put it like
Vogt,
where she can find it.
pucker
like right
up,
there.
Buttercup. It's coming your way. I'm really happy that you won. Thank you so much. I think, do I have one more?
You can do my book there, Kat, if you want.
Hold on one second, because I have something in here. Yes, I do. And who was this donated by? Cat Cosmetics for
That's
the caffeine
close-up
stick?
camera right on that book. Just,
Oh, you gave a book. Okay.
yeah, but if you put, that's where the close-up camera is.
Oh, okay.
See
so,
here?
Gotcha. Close
But I'm
up.
just saying if you want to show your other stuff.
Oh, good. All right. So here we go. Gary Pittman. Gary Pittman,
Got to do the book. No makeup for him.
you are. Oh, it's a new world, child.
Put it back
So
over
we.
there.
All right. Here we go.
There you go.
Gary Pittman, you have won a copy of Todd Fisher's amazing book, My Girls, a best-selling book. You are going to love this if you have not already read it. It is Todd's story of Debbie and Carrie and their lives together, and it is absolutely wonderful. And he'd be happy to sign this to you or to whoever you would like him to sign it to. So Gary Pittman, please write me at info@catcosmetics.com and let us know who you would like to have that made out to and an address to send it to. And you're all set. Thank you for coming to the show. I think this is your first time as a wiener. It's good to be a wiener. It is. Okay, I have one more. I do.
You do?
Yeah, I have one more. I went.
Well,
Okay, we don't. We may not. It would be
can
number.
do it.
Okay, we can do it because
This
it would be number 9.
Sure.
Giving away the farm. That's what we do here. All right, we're going for one more. Will it be you? Will it be you? That's what I want to know. All right. Let's see who it is.
Up.
That was Gary. And now, look at all isn't that cool how all the names flash by? Michael Bollinger. We had 3 men in a row. Amazing.
It might be because we're talking about sort of guy stuff.
Right. But again, Gary Pittman, you have won a jar. Oh, not Gary Pittman. Michael Bollinger, you have won a jar of Rooster Booster. Is Michael here? You have to be in it to win it. So, Michael, write me at info@catcosmetics.com, and then we will send out your Rooster Booster, which is my men's line. And it's nice to have you here, Michael. I've met Michael a couple of times in Illinois and here after a show. So, nice to see you. Okay, everybody. That's it. Ryan, pin yourself back up here and say goodbye to everybody. And what do we have?
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, and everybody here is saying goodbye to you. We just thank you so much for spending your Saturday night with us. It's been 2.5 years now of this. They can wave goodbye. See, that's everybody. And we will see you this week, but we will definitely see you next weekend. And I think, is that going to be the last shows that I do before I leave for Delaware, Ryan? Is that possible?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So come see me in Delaware at the Delaware State Fair from July 21st to the 31st. Ryan and I will be there, and we want to see you. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I don't know if we have anything to play for you to say goodnight to each other. No, we're not going to run that clip again because we did.
Just leave it on the wide shot.
Okay, we'll leave it on the wide shot while you all say goodnight to each other. Thank you. We love you. You're everything. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
And there you have it.